he mentioned, I'm just going to go through a bit of the information that you'll need in order to register an account on Amazon.com. Just to reiterate, I am going to go through the registration process for Amazon US, right? So if you're a seller in Southeast Asia that wants to start selling on the US marketplace, right? So I'll try and go as direct as possible, right? Because I do want to leave some time for some Q&As, because I think that's one of the parts where we get a lot more insights, right? And help specific cases that sellers might have. So please feel free, do not feel shy, put in your questions if you have a specific registration issue. That's why we're here, and that's why we're doing this webinar, okay? So without further ado, let's kick start. So do remember that within this webinar, we are going to be sharing some content. If you do want to take some screenshots of some content, that's perfectly fine. But please remember not to share this this content and just use it for your sole purposes. Okay. All right. So let's kick it off. These are some seller education topics that you can find. So if you're not able to join this webinar or need a bit more information, there are two main things that you can look for, specifically on Amazon Seller University on the Seller Central platform, which is a part of Seller Central where you can find all types of guides to help your selling on Amazon journey. You can also find seller education on YouTube, right? There's going to be recordings of registration webinars, of other webinars that might be more specific to your stage of the selling journey. So do go and check these two resources out. I think they're going to be really useful if you are a new seller. So in overall, this is the content that I'm going to go through in today's meeting, right? So a bit about the selling on Amazon, how to register, and then how to go through what we call seller identity verification, or SIV in short. We then have an in-person verification guide. And then for sellers who get triggered what we call the Amazon address OTP, I'm going to go and run through this process also. And then once you have access to the Seller Central platform, there might be some cases where sellers get triggered for a re-verification, right? And I'll run you through also those steps so that if you get triggered for that re-verification, you'll know exactly what to do. So starting on an Amazon selling account. So there are two types of selling accounts, right? So there's what we call the individual plan. And in a nutshell, the individual plan charges you 0.99 US dollars per item sold. And that is excluding the additional selling fees that you might have. And that is like the very basic account, right? We then have the professional selling account that charges you $39.99 US dollars a month, of course, plus the selling fees. But this professional account is what we essentially always try and pitch to sellers, because essentially there is a lot more advantages to it. First of all is if you are planning to sell on .com and you already have a forecast of selling more than 40 units a month, straight away the professional selling account would already make sense, because you would already be like essentially getting more out of it. Second of all, with the professional selling account, and I think this is the biggest value add that we can give, is that when you sign up with this type of account, you get help from an account manager in Amazon. Right, so one of our team members will reach out to you and will be able to guide you through every step on your selling journey, from registration to listing to FBA shipment to maximizing your growth or with sponsored products, coupons, deals, merchandising, etc. Right, so that for me is the biggest value add. Second, there's a lot more tools that you can use on Seller Central, like Opportunity Explorer, where you can check the trends, the sales traffic, etc. for your ASINs or competitors' ASINs, right? And that is going to be a crucial point in order to maximize your sales on Amazon. Also, if you are a brand owner with a professional selling account, you will have access to curating your listing in a much better way, like doing A+ content or sponsored displays, etc. right? So it is highly encouraged that you use the professional selling account, especially because, as I said, after you sell 40 units, it already makes sense to be on the professional selling account. So this is the overview of the registration process, right? There is 6 main steps to it, right? So you're going to start putting some basic information within the user interface, and once you have completed that information, we'll drive you through the SIV process, right? So the SIV process, you are going to have to upload 2 main documents, right, such as the identity document and a bank account or credit card statement, and that is to verify your identity. Once that is done, we will prompt you to either take a photo of your face or a video of your face and your document. And together with the identity document submitted in the SIV, our team of associates in the back end will review your request to become an Amazon seller and pass you or ask you a bit more information if needed. Then for some sellers, and this is completely done through a random manner, you might be triggered what we call a postcard OTP. And a postcard OTP is a physical postcard that is sent to the registered address during your registration process. And this is again to check that the address that you have placed, right, in the registration phase is a legitimate address, right? So you will receive a postcard, you will open the postcard, and in the postcard, you're going to have an OTP. This is very similar to when like you receive or you open a new card with a bank and you receive a physical card with the PIN of that specific card, right? So please remember that when you're registering to be very careful on the registered address that you put, because you might be triggered for the postcard OTP. Once that is done, you will have access to Seller Central. And that is when you can start looking at the user interface of Seller Central and start navigating a lot of the different tools, right? In the occasion that once you access to Seller Central, right, you are triggered for re-verification, right? There are a couple of additional documents that I will guide you through that you have to submit, right? And this is again a bit of a random selection of sellers that get triggered this, and this again is to further scrutinize the security on Amazon.com. All right, so registering your selling account. So first of all, you're going to have to key in where your business location or you as an individual is located, right? So if you're located in the Philippines, you can put Philippines. If you're located in Singapore, you can put Singapore. If your business is located in Malaysia, please put Malaysia, right? We then go on to the second step, which is business type. Now, for business type, there is this very big misconception that people have that if I don't have a business, I cannot start selling on Amazon. And that is not true. If you have a business, you sign up as a privately owned or publicly owned business. And if you don't have a business, you can just click on none. I am an individual. We accept individuals to start selling on Amazon. If, of course, you put that you have a business, you're going to have to input your business name. And please be very careful here because the business name has to match exactly the name you have used to incorporate your business. Then, of course, if you have selected that you are an individual, what we're going to be asking, of course, is your first name, middle name, if any, and last name. We will then go into the seller information, right? This is actually the person who is doing the registration, right? So we want to know who you are and who is the person who is actually keying in the information, right? So here we're going to be asking again your first name, last name, your country of citizenship, right? And your country of birth, and of course the date of birth. Now, for the residential address, and this is where I was saying to be very careful to key in as much details as possible, right, is for knowing where you're registering from. And this is the address that is also going to be used in case we send for a postcard OTP, right? So put in your address, and after that, we're going to do a secondary verification, which is to check a mobile phone in order to check that the person doing the registration is actually a person and maybe not a bot, right? So you're going to have to like clear in a number, right? And then either click SMS or call. The call is an automated call. It's not a real person. So you're going to receive a PIN either through SMS or an automated voice if you choose call, and you're going to have to like key in the PIN. The third stage of the registration process is to key in for a credit card or debit card number, right? And this is where we trigger for the professional selling account. And I want to emphasize a very important thing, and again, another misconception that a lot of sellers have, right? Whenever we say that you're charged $39.99 a month, that is true, but there's some important things that you have to consider. When you're registering and you key in your credit card or debit card numbers, you will be triggered a payment of $39.99. However, this monthly payment, after the first time you have paid it, will not be on a monthly basis until you have an active product on Amazon.com. Right? So just to give a use case, say that I am a seller. I am signing up today, right? Today is February. I sign up, I put in my credit card, I pay $39.99, and then I take 7 months, right, until like September to have an active listing or an active product on Amazon.com, right? For these 7 months, I will not be charged a monthly fee. Yet I'm going to have access to all the tools for a professional seller on the Seller Central platform. This is very important, right? Because you immediately get 7 months where you can look through the interface, play around with the tools, Opportunity Explorer, etc., and it's going to be of great value. Now, under the credit card or debit card number, you're going to have your billing address. This is going to be auto-populated from your residential address that you put on the previous step. Now, if it is different, your billing address, the billing address should always match the one that you have from the debit or credit card, right? And the one that the bank has on file, right? So if it is different from your residential address, you see that on the bottom, there is a button which says add a new address, right? So please, please, please make sure that the address that you key in here as billing address is the one that the bank that issued the credit card or debit card has on file, because we will check. And if there is a discrepancy, there is a high chance that you will not pass SIV. Okay, so store and product information. This is the last step of the first registration step, right? Here's where we're going to be asking you, what do you want to name your store, right? And if you don't have a name, that's completely fine. You can put a dummy name for now, and then you're going to be able to change it further on once you have a better idea of maybe what you're selling or how you want to call your store, right? If you have some products that you already know that you want to start selling on Amazon, there is a couple of informations or questions that we usually ask, right? Like if you have UPC codes, the manufacturer, the brand owner, and if you have a registered trademark. Now, if you don't have a product ready, that is completely fine. Just answer no to all of them, and you can continue. All right, so now it's when we get to the seller identity verification. And here it's where I would ask, if somebody would ask me what is the most important part or where I would have to listen, this is it. All right, so I hope you have your attention because this is very, very, very important. Now, you're going to be asked to upload essentially two documents. The first one is an identity proof, right? And this can be a passport, a driver's license, or a national identification. Specifically for the Philippines, we now accept your electronic Phil ID, right? So you can take a screenshot of the Phil ID and you can also upload that one, right? So the identity proof that you put right on the Seller Central platform once you start the SIV process has to have certain quality criteria. So it has to be in color, has to be in high definition, and it has to have the signature. Now, the signature is very important, right? So, for example, if you're a holder of a Singapore passport or an Indonesian passport, the signature is always on the first page, which is different to where you have all your details, right? So you will have to submit both pages, right? That is very important. Without the signature, we will not be able to pass seller identity verification, right? Now, the second document that we have to put, of course, is a bank, credit card, or a virtual bank like Payoneer statement, and it has to be within the last 180 days. All right, this is essentially to check that you have a bank account and the address or the country that the bank account has been issued matches with the country that you are registering from. Okay, very important. If you have to take a screenshot of this, take a screenshot. I think this is the most important piece of information that I will be sharing today, because SIV is very strict, of course, because we really want to have a trustworthy platform and marketplace, right? So we take this very seriously in Amazon. So this is how the user interface actually looks. You'll be prompted to upload your driver's license or passport, and then you will be prompted to put what we call the proof of address. Right, here are some examples, and this is what I was saying about the specific passports. You can see above that the Singapore passport has the details on one page and then has the signature on the very, very, very first page. You are going to have to upload both pages. Please make sure they're not obstructed. Your fingers are not in the middle. It's not in black and white. It has to be in color, right? So very, very, very careful. Right, here you have other countries that we currently manage passports, right? And here you have Philippines and Indonesia. And as I was saying, Indonesia has the same criteria as Singapore, where the signature is on the first page and details are on the second page. So you are going to have to put both pages. And this is where you will upload the document for the bank account. Again, for the bank account, if you do have PDF format, I think that is going to be very good. There is a very specific thing where we can only accept bank accounts from one of these languages, right? Which is Chinese, English, French, German, Italian, Japanese, Portuguese, or Spanish. There are many languages, right, that we accept. Now, if you do want to start selling on Amazon and you have a bank account that is not in one of these languages, you can still proceed, but you have to have a notarized translation, and you have to also upload that with the document. All right, so in case that you are not or you do not pass SIV, there are two potential cases. One, which is what we call SIV appeal rejections, and this means that some of the information that you have provided needs some correction, right? So we will let you know, right? Log on to your Seller Central account every day just to check that the SIV team has not maybe reached out, right? And make sure that all the documents are correct. In case you get triggered this specific warning up here where provided information needs correction, make sure you read also the prompt on what exactly needs correction. We usually give you a couple of tips on what you have to resubmit in order to make sure that you have submitted everything correctly. Now, if you don't know what exactly it is, just make sure that on the screenshot you took before where it says all the requirements, you just check every requirement and make sure that you have indeed filed everything correctly. Now, in case you have the second status, which is straight out SIV failed, right, and we're unable to verify your information, this is where there is a bit more of a strict let's say review, right? Now, one of the main reasons this might happen is you might be completely SIV failed because you already have a selling account, right? Now, we do not accept sellers to have more than one selling account unless there is a legitimate business reason to do so. And the legitimate business reasons to do so is you're signing up a second account, you're the same person, but you own another business which has another brand. That is perfectly fine, right? So when you try and appeal for these cases, and here we give you the email to appeal, you're also going to have to state this as a main reason, right? And you have to provide the necessary documentation to justify this reason. Okay, so once you've done all SIV, right, there is what we call in-person verification. And there is two options that you can do. First is what we call instant identity verification, and the second one is video screening verification. The steps are essentially the same, right? Just that in one case you take a picture, and in the other case you take a video, right? We highly encourage you guys to do the option one, which is take a photo of your face, and this is because it just results in faster verification. Okay, now this is a bit of a user interface on how it looks for the option one, where you're going to have to accept some disclaimers, and then you're going to be prompted again to flash or take a picture of your ID, right? And then take a picture of your face. You're going to be asked to look on your left, you're going to be asked to look on your right, and then it's going to be done that all your documents and your face has been successfully uploaded. And then it might take 1 or 2 business days to get an outcome. Now, in the case that the two options, either I2V or VSV, get failed, there is also a possibility that you get triggered what we call in-person identity verification. And this is when you will have to schedule a video call with one of our associates. And this associate, which is a live call with them, are going to ask you some additional questions, right? So if you get triggered IPV, just make sure that you have your documents ready, meaning your identity document that you have submitted and your bank statement. A physical copy is going to be needed, right? Make sure that the device you're doing this has a quality camera and some microphone, right? And make sure you are in a quiet space. Okay. Again, after IPV, the calls usually last between 2 to 7 minutes. It's going to take 2 business days to fully approve your registration. Okay, now, in the event that you get triggered for what we call the postcard address verification, what will happen? You will be prompted into a user interface, which essentially looks like this, right? And this is where we're going to be telling you at what stage your postcard is, right? So we're preparing it, it's either dispatched, in transit, or delivered, right? And we're also going to give you a tracking code, right, that you can track with our carriers, which is sending you the postcard so that you know exactly at what step the postcard is. Now you have 3 attempts to this, right? So when you receive the postcard, please wait. It can take anything between 1 week to 3 weeks, depending on how remote you are in Southeast Asia, right? We're also going to give you an estimated delivery, as you can see there. And once you receive it, you can put in your OTP. Now, do not press 3 attempts until it actually shows that it has been delivered and you've checked that it's not been delivered, right? That is to avoid that the verification code, there is a mismatch in the codes, right? So please wait for your card to be delivered, right? And then you put in your OTP, right? In case you have exhausted your 3 attempts because of XYZ reasons, right? You can still go to the Get Support button at the very bottom left of the page and state what has happened, why you have exhausted the 3 attempts, and what you're expecting SPS to do in order to help you out. Okay, so imagine happy days, you've passed everything, and now you have access to Amazon Seller Central. You're going to access Seller Central, and you're going to see these 3 alerts. The first alert is going to be a deposit method, right? So the deposit method is a bank account that you want to register with Amazon so that when you start selling and you start making some money, Amazon can deposit that money into that bank account, right? So very important, make sure that you finish this deposit method and you upload a bank account so that we can give you the money that you have earned, all right, on your marketplace sales. Second one is what we call tax information. Amazon will not disclose your tax information to the government, but we have to have a record. And by record is essentially knowing if you are a citizen of the United States or not, right? And the reason being is if you are a citizen of the United States, right, Amazon has the or needs to withhold some of your earnings in order to pay taxes on those earnings, right? But if you're not a US citizen, which I believe 99.9% of people in this call are not, there was going to be 0% withholding tax, right? So all the money that you have done from your sales is going to be deposited into your accounts, right? And then it's up to the seller to file for their taxes in their local country. Okay, this is how it looks like. This is updating the deposit method. We're going to ask you for the typical information like account holder's name, routing number, and your bank account number. And here's where I go for the tax information, right? So the tax information is very easy. It's just a very simple questionnaire where you're going to have to specify if you're an individual or you have a business, your business number or your IC, identity number, and then you just need to state if you are a citizen of the United States or not. Okay? Seller performance review, right? So after some time, you might get triggered what we call re-verification, or your account might be deactivated. This is usually triggered when there is not a lot of activity in the account, right? So say that you have started registration, you have completed registration, and then you do not access your account for 3-4 months and you log back on again, you're going to see that your account has been deactivated. Right, so don't worry, it's completely normal. And in order to overcome this deactivation, you're going to have to press reactivate your account. And we're going to be asking you some additional informations, right? So one of the informations that we will ask is a utility bill, right? So either the gas, electricity, water, telephone, your internet service, with a name and a visible address, right? And the address, again, needs to match the residential address that you had put at the beginning during the registration process, right? So one of the things that I always suggest to all of my sellers is whenever you're doing the registration process, just make sure that the residential address that you keyed in, you have a bill that is either your electricity pipe, telephone, that is linked to that residential address, right? In terms of quality criteria, everything in Amazon follows always the same thing. Be in color, not obstructed. Again, must be issued within the past 90 days, right? So please be very careful with this. Again, if you want to take a screenshot of this, I think this is going to be really useful in case you get triggered for seller performance review, as it is important. Now, some of you might say, yes, I have a utility bill, but it's under my wife's name. And that is completely fine, right? This is something where we have come across, and it's what we call relationships or verify relationships. So we have 4 very common use cases, such as landlord tenant, parents, or spouse's name, or corporation's names. So if your utility bill is under the name of somebody whom you have a relationship to, which falls within these 4 categories, you can submit these additional documents together with the utility bill in order to state, right, that you are or have a relationship with that person or that entity. Okay, where to submit the SPR documents. You can either click on reactivate account and it will prompt you to this page, or you can find them under what we call performance notifications, right? So on the top left part of your Seller Central, you're gonna see a 3 stripes menu button. You click and then you go on notifications, and there's gonna be performance notifications. Okay, here you can see the specific case. The 3 dots are up here. Then you go on performance and performance notification. You will find all the notifications that Amazon has sent to you. And one of them will be account deactivation, right? So you just click on that one and you submit the documents there. See, you're going to see a notification like this, and then you can submit the documents by following the link. Okay, the reason why we are going through this again, right, is because it is very important, right? Again, I'm going to stop. I'm not going to repeat myself, but if you want to take another screenshot, that is completely fine. But I might sound like a broken record, but it is extremely important. Again, the types of bills that we accept are electricity, water, gas, telco, or internet bill. It must be issued within the last 90 days. You have to include all the pages, right? And the address must match exactly with the details that you have in Seller Central or that you use to register. Okay. In case there is a mismatch on some of the documents that you have submitted, you might be triggered again what we call the in-person verification. That again is when you get on a call with an associate and the associate might ask you why you have had these discrepancies, right? So you can book a call with them and explain the issues. Okay, Seller University resources. So this is a newly released guide, right? You can take the QR code or the short URL. This is a very, very, very useful guide, and it's a video of an actual person going through the registration process, right? Uh, Jingyi is really good, and she will help you, right, with through a video of exactly what I've said, right, and it's going to go on step by step, telling you exactly what to do through a video format, which is sometimes a bit more useful than just presenting some slides.
Okay, thank you, Ivan. And then we, of course, have some other upcoming webinar, the last two, which is on Thursday and Friday. So if you are interested in those topics, do sign up. All right, I won't go through too much. We can go to the next slide so we can look at the live questions right now.